The Martez Sisters Season 7 arc is regarded as one of the worst arcs of the Clone Wars. Some even say that this is the worst arc of the show. I am fully aware that there are some people that do like this arc, but it is safe to say that the majority of Clone Wars fans don't like it. I know a lot of fans point the finger at Trace in this arc, which is fine because she definitely deserves some blame. However, I definitely think that it goes beyond just Trace's character. Basically, a lot of these characters were written poorly throughout this arc. Not only that, I found the choreography to be dreadful. That's just the gist, and I got plenty more to talk about. Before I begin, I'm gonna go over some things first. There's gonna be spoilers. I know a lot of you don't care, but there's always gonna be someone. Also, if it sounds like this and the video file is distorted in any way, shape, or form, it means I'm trying to avoid copyright. And yes, YouTube can be very strict on its copyright policy sometimes. Additionally, people have been complaining about me deleting comments, even though I haven't. YouTube has deleted comments on my videos for petty reasons regardless of stance. I went to my section of comments waiting for approval, but the ones I saw on my notifications were nowhere to be found. I know this is stupid, but if you swear in your comment or comment multiple times, YouTube will delete it. Even though that can happen, they're inconsistent on those measures as well. I don't really want to be Mr. Moral to you guys and start chastising you, but my recommendation is don't be vulgar and make sure you flush out everything you want to say in one comment. For instance, this guy had over 1100 words in his comment. I can't guarantee you that this will solve the problem, but at least it's worth a try. I know it can be frustrating following these websites' policies, but if you want to avoid deletion, that's what I recommend. I've had YouTube delete my comments on other channels for bad reasons as well, so I know where you're coming from. On top of that, you can also sort the comments and see that there's various viewpoints. Lastly, when I rewrite some scenes during this review, it's only for that scene unless I say otherwise. Anyway, let's get on with it. So the first episode starts out with Ahsoka on a speeder. I'm going to refer Ahsoka as jailbait for reasons that you can assume.
Stop calling me that.
More importantly though, where did Ahsoka get that speeder? Last time we saw her, she walked out of the order with just her clothes. What confuses me is that we have no clue where she is living, what does she do for work, what does she do for meals, etc. Not only that, she gave us no plans on what she was going to do next. One of the reasons why I didn't find Jailbait's departure logical was because the Jedi went through due process which made her feel betrayed even though the evidence was pointed against her. I would maybe be fine with this if she felt mistreated from the Order in previous arcs, seasons, episodes leading up to this, but this just comes up in the season 5 finale. It's also rubbing the salt in the wound when we don't even know what her plan was at the end of the season 5 finale. Moving forward to another pressing issue. If she's on her own, how did she pay for her speeder? Let's search the internet for the answer.
Jedi Padawans, however, are able to fail their Jedi trials and are then asked to leave the Jedi Order after being gifted a sum of money for compensation for their deeds for the Jedi.
I don't know where Stupendous Wave got this information from, whether it was a novel, comic, or show, but for a unique situation similar to this should definitely be explained in the show. The fact that I had to look it up is proof that this is bad writing. Here's an analogy. You're writing a 5-paragraph essay and you have a thesis with potential. Even though you have the sources to back it up, you don't reference them at all, which leads you to not getting a good grade. The paper is graded on what is in it, not what the audience has to look up on their own time. Also, she is 16, so shouldn't she be put in foster care? This makes the council look bad after the fact because they're not looking over her. I know people are going to say that this series is supposed to display the council as corrupt, but in reality they look more so incompetent. Not only does the writing hurt the season 5 finale, it does hurt this arc as well. As the show continues, her speeder malfunctions, unintentionally does a hit and run and she lands on a platform. A hit and run is a crime, so I wonder if she's gonna have any cops after her, Or she would at least have some worries about facing the consequences of possibly being punished. Then our hero meets everyone's least favorite character, Trace, who I'll refer to as the best character. Once the best character starts conversing with her, Jailbait says she shouldn't have bought her bike. I'll give the show credit for giving an answer on how she got her bike. However, it doesn't forgive the fact that the show didn't explain how she got her money. As it continues, the best character said that she's a mechanic and she can offer some tools at a price. Apparently, it seems that Jailbait is broke. I've got an idea for her. Maybe she can take Hondo's advice and go into the clamoring female Jedi sex industry. It makes sense with her character because when we first met her, she gave off "I'm 14 and I'm slutty" vibes.
Ooh, Master, what lesson is this?
Get in the now!
Back to the story. The best character adds that Jailbait doesn't have to worry because a lot of people don't have money down here.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
I wonder if her not having a lot of money will even matter in the future. Remember this for later. The best character is already at a great start with telling a customer that she doesn't have to worry about paying for the service even though it's hard to make money down here. Also, I find it strange that these two knock it off so well when they just met each other a minute ago. If they're going to get along well, at least give us a reason because it's naive on the best character's part where she lives in the projects and shouldn't be friendly to someone who says that they don't have a lot of money. I expect that character to be wary. They could have fixed this scene by having Jailbait look for an occupation and witnesses the best character being unfairly treated by an unethical businessman while Jailbait saves her. Additionally, with a conversation explaining Jailbait's motivation due to her moral compass, this would have fixed the scene. As you can tell, I think the next scene should have been when the best character would start being more friendly to Jailbait. Instead, we get this.
I'd be glad to fix your bike. For a price. I can fix my own bike. I just need some tools. Have it your way. But the tools are still gonna cost you. I don't have much in the way of credits. Don't worry. Down here no one does. Don't take too long. Time is money. Hey, why are you helping me? Shouldn't I? Seemed like the right thing to do. You can leave if you want. No, it's alright. I'll stay. Thank you. That's good. I really need the money.
I really need the money.
She knows she's broke, yet she's still willing to give service. I get it that the best character ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, but her getting the money for her service won't even matter at the end of the day. And we all know the reason why the best character is giving Jailbait free service. It's because she likes her as a friend. I get it that they both have a common interest in ships, but this is way too generous of an offer. Please don't tell me being too nice will be a trait seen in the best character. She only acts this way to Jailbait.
Ray who? Ray. No.
Being well-liked for no reason is a part of being a Mary Sue. To be completely honest, prior to Season 7, I don't think Jailbait's character was a Mary Sue. I found her to be more so annoying.
Does anyone care what the Padawan thinks?
You need to shut the fuck up!
You dumb bitch.
But in Season 7, she definitely is. Now I know when we meet Rafa, the less dumb sister, she will be cautious of Jailbait. At least her charm ain't perfect, but there is some unsubstantiated fondness with her that comes later on in the season. I won't say she's more guilty of being a Mary Sue than Ray, but she will have her moments that are comparable. This won't be the last time I'll criticize Jailbait's character for being a Mary Sue. On to another point, why did Jailbait go down here? Of course she coincidentally fell down onto the best character's landing platform, but before her bike malfunction, she clearly was going into Coruscant's lower level. Maybe the concubine market's better down there. Sounds pretty believable to me. We don't have a reason why she specifically has to be down here. Please don't tell me the Force let her down here because the show doesn't even imply it while the plot description of this episode doesn't even mention it. This could have been improved by having this taken shortly after her leaving the Order and her finding a job. Obviously, it's not the only thing that they could have done, but it's just a suggestion. Back to the episode. They're doing some mechanical work and the best character asks Jailbait if she could help her. Jailbait responds that she doesn't want to help because it costs money. The best character reminds her that everything down here costs money. That is so unbelievably obvious. The only person to not know that would be a little kid. I'm pretty sure a 16-year-old girl would know that as well. Citizens on the surface level of Coruscant pay for their products and services. It's not as if that they get things for free up there. Then, Jailbait says she doesn't know why she is down here. Yeah, not even the audience knows that one and would really appreciate it if you gave us some insight. Following up with that, the best character says this.
Hey! What did I say? Look, you can stay here as long as you like. If you can pay me. What's with you?
The best character has been told twice by Jailbait that she can't afford her services, yet the best character wants her to stay if she has money. I still don't get why she is so hell-bent on keeping Jailbait. Once Jailbait walks out to look out on the landing platform while we listen to lovely traditional Force theme, she comes back in and notices the best character is fixing her bike. The best character has this to say.
No sense in keeping you here if you're gonna be miserable. I appreciate the help. What's it gonna cost? It's on the house.
What do I owe you? Nothing. It's for free. Free?
You have a business to run, she doesn't have to keep Jailbait, and since she did, she could at least show us her reasoning. Please don't tell me that the best character saying it just felt like the right thing to do is a good enough answer. It's way too vague to substantiate this. I know that the best character said it was because her mother would do the same, but I doubt her mother would be this trusting of a stranger after just seconds of meeting her. At least they foreshadow this BS. Anyway, the question about Jailbait's origin comes up. Jailbait says she is from the upper level, and the best character says she's better off down here because the Jedi are policing everyone up there and being warmongers. Jailbait defends the Jedi, which I find strange because the reason why she left was due to not being trusted by them. With her defending them, it seems she never wanted to leave in the first place. As the best character goes on about her perspective, she said the Jedi forgot all about the people living in the projects, thus she has the ambition to make a living elsewhere. Anyway, they get interrupted by Pinto and his gang members. To be honest, they look as if they belong in Monster Inc. Not the first time, by the way. Apparently, the sisters owe them money. The best character says she doesn't need any help from Jailbait, puts up a fight against the Monster Inc. crew, but has to turn to her for help. I do find it funny that the henchmen don't use the pipe she was using to defend herself after they disarmed her. It's more effective than using your arms. Also, I don't think a human at that size would have the inertia to deliver that kind of force against brawny aliens. At least Jailbait was the one to send them home. However, I would like to bring up that the Monster Inc. Mafia didn't bring any weapons with them just in case there was retaliation. It's fine that they would just try to beat her up to get the money in the first place, but it would be smarter to have weapons on you just in case if things got dicey. Not only that, people similar to Pinto have weapons in this universe. Well, at least I got to see why the Jedi rarely come down here. Once the fight commences, the best character asks Jailbait where she learned that from, and she says from her older brother. Which points even more to the fact that Jailbait still has a strong allegiance to the Order. If this is going to be the first episode where Jailbait is on her own, she can show some pride, which is something she deeply cared about in her previous arc. She's acting as if she was banished against her will, even though it was her own decision. I get it that this is mainly supposed to show her strong allegiance towards Anakin, but she could have continued to still be in contact with Anakin if she stayed in the Order. Moving forward, the episode progresses with them meeting up with the best character's sister, Rafa, who I'm gonna call Karen for reasons you'll see later. Apparently, she doesn't have the money either, but has a job lined up for them to pay off their debt.
Is it legitimate this time? or the usual job? Hey, what did I teach you? We can't count on anyone, so we count on ourselves. I know. That's right. That's how we survive.
I get it that the saying is supposed to show Karen's philosophy, but it's set in a weird place in the dialogue. So you have to trust her even though she doesn't defend her own trustworthiness. I get what the writers were trying to do, but that sort of doesn't make sense. Anyway, Rafa comments and calls Jailbait a creature. This ain't a criticism in this scene, but the racism towards her only gets even more funny in the next arc.
What the hell going on up there?
As it goes on, Karen asks Jailbait how did she meet this idiot.
How'd you end up with this smooth milker?
Jailbait explains the previous situation, and a customer comes in. Karen lies to the customer about the quality of her business, and her shop is considered the best for repairing droids according to this guy's business partner?
My, business partner. He said you build droids better than anybody.
Then they know quality.
Who is this business partner? And why would he think that this would be a droid repair shop? They clearly repair ships, so I don't know where this business partner is getting this logic from. Please don't tell me that they would bribe them because they're clearly tight on money. Also, the show never had any hint of any sexual favors being offered by them. I wouldn't put it past the show, but it is still rated PG. Couldn't this guy just look up a review online and see what these people do? Additionally, wouldn't this guy get suspicious when he walks into a laundromat instead of the repair shop he was expecting? Karen does fib that it's disguised as a laundromat to hide from the authorities, but wouldn't this guy be concerned enough to check if they're telling the truth? On top of that, Coruscant has trillions of people, and I imagine that they have plenty of repair shops around. But he picks the sketchy one instead. I like to pretend that the best character is actually known for giving free service, and he just wants to get some slave labor out of this. Going onward, Rafa says she has an associate who does the work out back. Of course, the best character asks Rafa who the associate is, and she says don't worry about that yet. Right in front of the customer. I'm okay with this guy not hearing what she said, but at least wouldn't he be concerned about that? Seems a little suspicious. To top it off, the guy says that their business is known for quality, yet they work on starships, not droids. Please don't tell me that they know how to repair ships that automatically means that they know how to repair droids. Due to the fact that these sisters haven't been shown to be able to repair droids. This would be equivalent of someone wanting his airplane to be repaired and taking it to an auto mechanic. I find it funny that the best character is shocked that she was the associate that Karen was referring to. Who else would it be? Definitely not Jailbait. What? So these characters that definitely did not develop rapport with each other, Karen allows Jailbait to work on the droids? Karen clearly did not trust her. So why is she there? She clearly doesn't trust her, but lets her work on this important project for her? Karen doesn't even know if Jailbait's mechanically savvy. It's not until next episode where she asks about what angle is she coming from. These people who live on the streets have no street smarts. Remember this for later. As they're fixing the droids, Jailbait reminds the best character to put the bolt on the droid before turning on the power. Remember this for later. Not only that, Jailbait realizes that these droids are dangerous and she ran into them before. After getting attacked by one of them and stunning it, the best character says Jailbait shouldn't worry because they have bolts to contain them. As she says that while holding the bolt she should have had on the droid goes berserk and leaves their repair shop. Wow, it's no surprise that they use her stupidity to move the plot forward. Once the droid gets out, Rafa sees that it has escaped while the best character and Jailbait chase after it. I wonder what action Karen is going to take. I love it in these sequences that the droid just picks and chooses what to destroy. This seems completely random because when we see the first one, it attacks Jailbait, but the second one just runs away, and when it attacks vehicles. Shouldn't the second one be harming pedestrians based off of what we saw with the first one? Don't tell me it's a different type of droid. It's clearly the same model. Back to the story, they split up, they separately get a tracking device and speeder. Karen is back at their makeshift droid shop. I wonder if she's going to help them capture their client's droid because it's kinda strange that she is sitting there and doing nothing. Plus, I find it funny when she says this. Well, if it's going to be costly, why don't you do something about it? When you're a manager of a small business, you should probably have a more hands-on approach, especially when you only have 2 employees working under you. How can I believe that this is one of the best repair shops in 1313 when you have management as bad as this? Anyway, once they get to the droid's location, it's running straight towards them but jumps over them instead. And for some reason punched a trash can?
People start pollution. People can stop it.
From what we witnessed in the previous scenes, shouldn't the droid just push them out of the way? There should be some form of consistency for how it handles situation, because if it was behaving as it usually does, at least one of them could be dead or seriously wounded. Furthermore, why is the droid parkouring here where there's no obstacles on the sidewalk? Back to the chase. They eventually grab it with the speeder, but it starts to climb and the best character decides to jump on it. I remember when the first droid started attacking her, but this one won't even attack her when it's being piggybacked on. Eventually, she gets to the head of the droid to push the button to turn it off. She falls off, which leads to her knocking Jailbait and killing them both. The end. Okay, fine. She falls off and gets caught by Jailbait's speeder. Jeez, the best character must have the strongest fingers in the world. Scratch that. She's holding on with her palms. She should have fell off, especially with the momentum and the sudden halt of falling. At one point, she only has one hand on it. The only person that could possibly held on was a Jedi. Anyway, with some practical devices for their situation, Jailbait saves the best character with the Force when she is not looking. I get it why Jailbait was trying to keep her Jedi pass a secret, but civilians can literally see her use the Force. Wouldn't someone comment, how were you able to use the Force? This was better executed in a scene in Spider-Man 2. When he's about to get hit, he does an acrobatic move. Now that's something a human can't do normally, but at least Peter Parker wasn't launching spider webs in front of these people. Additionally, they're on a world of a Jedi temple. I think civilians would know what the Force is. This could easily blow her cover. Back at their makeshift droid shop, Jailbait and Karen get into a moral argument. Karen is business oriented, so she believes that they have to work on this for the client, while Jailbait is moral centric, thus she believes these need to be dismantled. After Karen promises the best character that she is doing the right thing, she responds with this.
I'll meet you at the wharf, okay? Rafa, just be smart.
Rafa, just be smart.
I think the best character needs to give herself a hard, long look in the mirror. Also, shouldn't they be concerned about the authorities? This droid did some damage to private and public property. I don't know why they didn't discuss this when they're one of the best repair shops in the area. Imagine all the settlements and lawsuits they would have to go through if this was believable. They could lose some serious money and or time wasted in jail. Back to the episode. After Jailbait and the best character have a discussion about her concern about Karen's leadership at the table, Karen comes back and says she charged the man double. This means they can pay off their expenses to the mob. So the best character and Jailbait go off to finish their speeder. Even though this episode was bad, it's gonna be the best episode of the arc. Yeah, it gets worse. On to the next one. It begins with the best character commenting on how adept Jailbait is to repairing Starship, and she asks her which academy taught her. She responds with this.
Skywalker Academy.
This shouldn't be dialogue from a character who chose to leave the Order. She might as well stick to being his side piece. As their conversation continues, the best character explains how money is tight for them, and that the only reason why they have this business is because of their parents' inheritance after their split and gambling. From their income, the best character was able to get a starship. Remember this for later. After showing some chemistry between the characters, the best character asks Jailbait about what she will do after she is done repairing her bike. She responds with this.
I don't know. This is all new to me. That's why you should stick around. I figured I'd be on my own for a bit. Yeah, that doesn't seem like the best idea.
I'm legitimately surprised that the best character actually has a point here. Even the retard sees the flaw in the plan. Anyway, the best character convinces Jailbait to stay with them. She says she will as long as Karen approves, who conveniently walks in. She intervenes with this.
Ahsoka's gonna be staying on for a bit. You got any skills? Only useful ones. We'll find out soon enough.
For someone that has issues with trust, her interview process is not very thorough on bringing along someone who's basically a stranger. As it goes on, Karen brings up how she needs the best character's help even though she already hired a starship and crew for a job, but the pilot left and now she needs her help. Even though the pilot left, what happened to the rest of the crew? Crew is a plural noun. They could have been useful on this mission. As you can probably assume, we're not going to get an explanation for that. Additionally, isn't Karen's main belief is that her and the best character can't rely on anyone else except for each other? Hypocritical much? Of course, this doesn't sit well with the best character, and she was mostly mad at not being the first option.
Trace, please. I need your help with this. You mean you need the best pilot around and the fastest ship, you know? Yes, to both of those.
I know you don't want to, but remember this for later. As they're entering their ship, Karen says this.
Remember, we can't count on anyone, so we count on ourselves.
Now she's back to her moral compass. I don't get it why the best character didn't call her out on a hypocritical action about hiring a crew. I like to pretend that there's a crew waiting to get picked up and they just leave without them.
I keep having this nagging feeling that I've forgotten something.
Hey, if you forgot it, it probably wasn't all that important.
Yeah, I guess.
As the best character warms up the engines, Karen is questioning her motivation because the best character is involved and thinks she wants some form of compensation. Disappointingly, but at no surprise, Jailbait says her only motivation is to keep them out of trouble. Kind of a shallow motivation because it's an extremely vague one. Jailbait and the sisters don't even seem to have a similar moral compass because Jailbait clearly follows the teachings of the Jedi while the sisters have hood mentality.
What?
She clearly doesn't trust her but lets her come along? I completely understand that Jailbait helped them out, but I think Karen would be more cautious about her unknown motivation. I am aware she doesn't like her, however, we'll still let her aboard? Since actions speak louder than words, Karen's really not following her own principle well. Focusing back on Jailbait, this is not an obvious Mary Sue moment, but it is because it's something that is not earned by her that moves the plot forward in a cheap way. Anyway, the convo ends with Karen saying Jailbait is more of a problem for the best character. Once they take off, the best character starts flying in the wrong lane, even though people are trying to tell her not to. Next, the best character wants to answer a transmission from the cruiser when Jailbait clearly says that they don't have to, and Karen chimes in for her to fly higher. Then, the best character starts complaining about being told what to do. She answers, and the Admiral calls her crazy for illegally flying in the area and that her license could be taken away. To top it off, the best character didn't even know she needed a license.
License? Do I need one of those?
You don't need a license to drive
the Silver Angel.
If we compare flying a spaceship to driving a car, I think someone living in this world could just assume a license is necessary. Especially for someone who is so passionate about flying and works at a starship repair shop How does she not know this? Karen tries to clear the air by saying she was teaching her sister how to fly, and the best character literally says this.
Oh, you're teaching me to fly. That's a laugh.
Who is this?
She really gonna risk that right in front of an admiral on a military cruiser? On the cruiser that's gonna take off to the Battle of Anaxis, Anakin senses jailbait and decides to let them go through without getting arrested. Yeah, she definitely got wet from that. As their starship is flying through, it doesn't seem as if they're flying through a lane. They could have at least animated some starships in a lane to make it seem as if it is one. In space, Jailbait asks a reasonable but an overdue question on where they're going. Karen whispers it to the best character and it goes into hyperspace to this location. The ship is rattling and the best character announces that she never flew into hyperspace before. Yet she has the audacity to announce that she's the best pilot around. Then, this happens.
This is exciting. I've never been to hyperspace before. What? What have you been flying? Oh, mainly speeders, you know? Maintenance vehicles, whatever I could get my hands on. Oh! I left the air brakes on. That could have been bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best starship pilot around. Yet she has the audacity to announce that she's the best pilot around. I wonder if she's gonna bring that up again. I can see why people, including fans, didn't like this character. Anyway, Karen whispers to Jailbait that this is the reason why she wanted to hire a pilot. Which is perfectly reasonable, but she is on a planet with trillions of people. Why couldn't she just find another pilot? I don't get it why she was just so hell-bent on this one pilot who backed out. I bet there's plenty of others on Coruscant. Plus, if the best character is having this much trouble flying, why doesn't Karen fly the ship herself? She could still bring them along, and I assume Karen knows how to fly when she runs a starship repair shop. I get it that they established that the best character gets really protective of her ship, but she is the boss. In the previous episode, Karen did assert her dominance over the best character. Please don't tell me that Karen can't fly the ship because it's owned by the best character. From earlier, the best character said that her and her sister bought that ship, so Karen could easily counter her and say, hey, I paid for it as well. Just another reason why it's foolish for Jailbait to sign off on this. I wouldn't mind it if she had motivation to get something similar to credits, but that's not her concern clearly when she got confronted by Karen and didn't even want some form of assets from doing business with them. As the show goes on, they go on the Kessel Run because they need to pick up spice. I'm gonna call the spice medical marijuana for reasons you'll see later. Also, Kessel looks really strange. How the show introduced this place, it's a lot different to how we saw it in the Solo movie. Please don't tell me that this is fine because this is a planet and planets have a lot of different environments on it. Just look at Earth. Well, my rebuttal is, just look at the planets and moons in Star Wars. Endor is a forest moon. Hoth is a snow moon. Camino is an aquatic planet. Tatooine is a sand planet. Coruscant is a city planet. The planets and moons in this universe have an environmental theme to them. It's a retcon for how they made the two hemispheres complete juxtapositions. Just look on the screen on how Kessel's supposed to be. Once they arrive on this planet, Kessel, a greeter says that they are thanking them for their services and having a banquet for them. Wait, they are just a delivery service. Why are they getting thrown a banquet? This seems to be a small-scale service. I get it that it can be dangerous, but comparing it to our world, there are plenty of dangerous jobs, especially blue-collar ones, that don't get fancy banquets before they do their duties. Plus, why are you hiring people from a repair shop when you can hire someone that specializes in delivery? I imagine they have their own version of underground FedEx in this universe. At the banquet, what the girls are getting out of this just seems so pretentious. Rich people aren't going to waste resources for workers doing this kind of service. There's people at this banquet which you're not going to get a reason why they're there. It doesn't seem all that important simply because they're a one-ship crew delivery service. It's not as if they have a big business. This would make sense if the Martez sisters ran a delivery service that was relatively large. Back to the episode. After the best character yells about her ship being thatched, which is just helping her likability oh so much, the Major Domo, aka their boss, says that if they're successful, they will be their go-to service provider.
Upon satisfactory delivery, you will be awarded a full shipment and a contract to transport for us on a continual basis.
These girls have never done this before. Yet this representative of this king is willing to put that much trust in them. That is way too risky. I get it that the writers are trying to make it intense because we find out that their boss is a bad person, so if they do it successful the first time, that means they have to keep on doing this dirty job. Unfortunately, it's so stupid it shows that the Major Domo should have been called the Major Dumbo. I know, it's an amazing dad joke. So they need to deliver weed. Now this makes Jailbait suspicious because weed can be used for all sorts of different purposes, but the Major Dumbo assures them that it's only used for medicine. Soon after the banquet finishes, Jailbait brings up to Karen that smuggling marijuana is dangerous because they could easily get mugged in space. Karen says that only happens to big transport ships and was the main reason why they hire them because they have a small ship. Remember this for later. Still doesn't dismantle the point because they could get actual smugglers with smaller ships instead of a group of mechanics in which at least 2 of them are minors. Plus, it isn't far-fetched that there are professional smugglers out there with smaller ships. Due to the fact that this mission is dangerous, did this crew bring any blasters with them? I know the ship has some weapons attached to it, but what happens if they get boarded? They would want something that they can hold in their hand to defend themselves. Their argument continues with Jailbait bringing up this.
For a mechanic.
What bugs me here is that it's perfectly reasonable for a mechanic to know about a smuggler's planet, especially mechanics who do some shady business. Mechanics work on ships and either hear clients' traveling stories, as Jailbait said, most likely travel themselves because they work on ships, have been flying around places, or all the above. Despite Jailbait's concern for the morality and the safety of this situation, Karen says their plan relies on the best characters flying. Wow, what a fantastic plan. Really could have used those extra crew members. Jailbait stops the best character and says she understands why Karen didn't want her to come along due to how dangerous it is. Let's be honest, it's more so because of her intelligence. The best character denounces it by saying Jailbait is just nervous. Even though smuggling weed is risky, she continues by saying Karen believes in her despite not being the first choice, and confirms that this is their first time, which doesn't bother the best character. They go off to fly to the northern hemisphere to witness the slavery going on in the mines.
The King's spice seals must buy thousands of them. Trace, those are not droids. They're people.
I like to pretend that she was jealous that other people get to participate in slave labor. Karen denounces Jailbait, saying they're slaves because the Republic wouldn't stand for it. Why are the sisters so uneducated about Kessel? Literally, they own a repair shop. I imagine they have talked to some clients before and probably heard stories about the place. As they pick up the weed, Karen brings up to the best character that she doesn't trust Jailbait because she ain't a family. But that doesn't concern the best character due to the fact that Karen doesn't like any of her friends. For someone that has this much more authority in the relationship, why did she even comply to bring Jailbait along if she doesn't trust her? Back to the episode. On their trip to Abadia, Karen mentions that the Pike mob boss, Mark Krim, will pay them while Jailbait is concerned because they're not good people for they loot and kill. What a shocker. The best character is completely surprised by this, while Karen doesn't care. Karen rebuttals by asking why does she know so much. Jailbait makes an obvious point by implying the importance of being aware of the galaxy. The fact that these sisters have dealt with sketchy people, yet they don't know about a famous criminal organization? It is not as if the Pike Syndicate came out yesterday. They've been around for over a decade. Additionally, this happens a lot in the show where she educates and/or morally corrects other characters. They usually do this by either making Jailbait right when she shouldn't be, or making the other characters look so stupid it's unbelievable.
Ahsoka, your energy, your strength, it's what we've been lacking.
Oh, here we go again. All the characters kissing Ahsoka's boots. Like, oh no, sorry, we were wrong. You lead the way, oh wonderful Mary Sue.
Mighty and Holy One.
Anyhow, the best character listens to Jailbait because she brought up that everything could be taken, including the ship, while Karen chimes in that they are desperate. As their argument goes on about morality versus greed, the worst moment everyone was waiting for in this review, the best character lashes out and purposely lets all the weed out.
This is bad, Trace. Rafa, what are they gonna do to my ship?
Nothing. See? This is why I didn't want you for this job.
I wouldn't bring that up right now if I were you. Why not make the best of a bad situation and deliver this spice to some place that can use it for medicine?
No one is taking that doesn't pay, and Trace and I have a lot of people on Coruscant waiting for money we owe them.
No, you owe them, not her.
Sisters take care of each other. We can't pay off debt with your morality.
No one is taking my ship. Think of all the good you could do if we deliver the spice to someplace else instead of the Pikes.
Think of all the good you can do by helping us finish this job.
I said no one is taking my ship!
Okay, there's a difference between well-written stupid and this level of stupid. Well-written stupid people in stories at least have an understandable dumb reason that's not conveniently dumb for the plot. I don't know why anyone would remotely think that would solve the situation at hand, even for a stupid person. Here's an example of well-written stupid. In Friends, Joey's refrigerator breaks down and he doesn't want any of the food to go bad. Hence, he decides to try to eat all the food, but he gets sick. That is a bad solution when there's a lot of food in the refrigerator, but the food can't go bad if you can eat all of it. In the case of the best character, it seems to be her doing something in a fit of rage, but has absolutely no logic to remotely help their situation. They could have fixed this by having a fight that someone gets pushed and accidentally taps the button to release the weed. Luckily for me, Karen and Jailbait both explain why that decision is dumb.
Problem solved. Neither one of you gets your way, and I keep my ship. You're welcome.
Of all the choices you could make, that is literally the worst one.
I can't believe this, but I agree with her. What? This spice gave us options.
Now we have a deal to deliver spice to an intergalactic crime syndicate and no spice to deliver.
But I thought delivering spice to gangsters was a bad thing.
Furthermore, when hearing the best character's condescending tone, it's not helping her likability at all. During this new argument, the best character blames her motivation from Jailbait's moral stance on why they shouldn't make deals with bad people, and that there could be a solution around this, while Karen thinks they're both the reason for their current demise. Jailbait defends her by saying she didn't have it all thought out yet. I would say Jailbait was the least responsible for this. Karen was the one that signed them up for this corrupt mission, while the best character literally dumped the weed for no good reason. Even though you can't blame Jailbait for the best character's unreasonable stupidity, what would be a good alternative? She brought up that they should transport the weed to a more deserving place to use it for medicinal purposes. That might not solve their financial situation at all because they get paid based on this delivery. What happens if the place that they deliver to that need it can't afford it? If the weed was never dumped, they should have just done this job once and never do it again. Please don't tell me that the Major Dumbo would force them to be his go-to delivery service. Of course he said that they would be his go-to guys, but it doesn't mean they can't opt out. Plus, if this job apparently doesn't require many qualifications, or any at all, he could easily find a replacement. Continuing on, before they're going to land on the planet, they discuss Jailbait's plan completely off-screen. On-screen, the sisters are pessimistic, but they go with it anyway because they don't really have any other options. On the landing platform, Karen tries to smooth talk her way out of it by getting the payment first, but the Pike leader guy, Fife, is gonna wait to see. I'm gonna call him Invader Zim. However, Jailbait does a Jedi mind trick and Invader Zim changes his mind. But his Pike assistant thinks that they should double check and the leader gives him permission. Maybe Jailbait should try another Jedi mind trick? No? Okay. As they're sending down the crates to the landing platform, I'm confused where they got these random crates from. They lost their crates when they got ejected. Also, when you see inside of the ship when they were still on 1313, there were no extra crates. Please don't tell me why the Kesselfolk would give them extra empty crates. I imagine a mine similar to this would have a lot of shipments going out and could probably use those empty crates. Also, we can't imply that they just always had these crates on ship because this is not a transport ship at all. They made a point of that earlier. Plus, the best character orders Jailbait to start up the engines.
Fire up the ship.
Shouldn't the best character already be in the cockpit seat? She didn't really need to be there for the transaction. If they did that, maybe they could have escaped sooner? Well, the Pikes check the crates, and as they're trying to escape, they get pulled in by the tractor beams. Before they get pulled in, you can tell that it is D. Bradley Baker voicing the Pike Guard. When he yelled, he sounded way too similar to the clones. He does sound slightly different, but he is overused in this show, especially when he's playing a completely different species than he normally does. They could just hire another actor to play this guard. More importantly, these girls could have escaped if the best character was in the cockpit when the transaction was being made, thus they would have had better chances of escaping. I am aware they don't got much of an option, but they did do a poor job maximizing their capabilities. Lastly, the episode concludes with the sisters saying some dialogue.
Just so you know, when they interrogate me, I'm blaming the whole thing on you. Between the three of us, there's plenty of blame to go around.
I understand where Karen is coming from because she and Jailbait have conflicting values, but the best character says they are all responsible, which sounds more like something Jailbait would say. Remember this for later. The reason why I say that is that the best character isn't all that humble, while Jailbait, at the moment, comes off as a nicer character. I get it that the best character did put some blame on herself, but I can see that's not enough humility to win the audience over, especially when she hasn't proven herself to be competent whatsoever. Anyway, we're moving on. Why does this alien sound as if it's Gamorrean? It's clearly not. In prison, they keep bickering over whose fault it is, and then they get into a tidbit on the sisters' view on the Jedi by labeling Jailbait with an adage. Apparently, the sisters are not fond of the Jedi or the Topsiders because of this.
Will you listen to this? We got a regular Jedi here.
What if I was?
Don't kid around. You didn't tell her, did you?
Tell me what?
About why Trace and I keep our distance from the Jedi. Or any Topsiders, for that matter.
Oh, shut up, Rafa.
I don't think so. Not if Miss High Ideals here is gonna lecture me about morality. A couple of years ago, there was a prison break on the surface of Coruscant, where you live. Some gangster named Zero.
I find it funny that the writers connect this to Zero the Hutt, a total joke of a character. Trust me, I'm aware that this might be the smallest nitpick, but why in an emotional scene do you remind the audience of this guy? Imagine when Obi-Wan and Yoda are looking at the footage when Anakin killed the Jedi. Instead, it was footage of him killing Jar Jar Binks.
Then came the Jedi. We watched, like so many others, as they chased Zero and his gang down the portal, leaping from speeder to speeder as they went. Finally, some red-eyed alien protecting Zero blasted the engine of an ascending cargo transport. The ship went spiraling out of control. The Jedi went into action, tried to gain control of the ship. There was a populated landing platform right in the path of the ship, but the Jedi steered it clear of that, right into the portal wall. And on the other side of that wall was our home.
Mom and Dad saw it coming. They got Rafa and I out. But they weren't so lucky.
The Jedi didn't even capture Zero. The distraction of the ship helped him get away. Afterward, the Jedi came back and one of them came over to me. I'll never forget it. She was beautiful, Dark robes contrasting against her light green skin, penetrating eyes.
First of all, gay. Second of all, stupid.
I find it funny that Karen shows her inner lesbian in a complimentary way of what seems to be Luminara. I mean, it does explain these postmodern haircuts. When describing someone who you blame for recklessly killing your parents, which still depresses you and you still have resentment for, she seems to find a way to compliment her.
I quickly became homophobic. Hating on gay people became part of my lifestyle.
But in all seriousness, it just feels as if it's just there to be there, so it could just be taken out of the story and nothing is lost. Especially for Karen that is only close to the best character and yet still treats her poorly. She still cares and protects the best character while also being critical of her, but really hasn't said anything nice about her. The only time she said something nice when she needed a pilot, and completely lied about that, of course. When she said a nicer statement to someone that she despised and the only person you want to remain close to, comes off as inconsistent character development. I mean, we all know Luminar ain't
a family.
They should have got rid of the complimentary part entirely.
She looked at me, and you know what she said? She said, I had to make a choice, but not to worry. The Force will be with you. That's it. Then she was off. And Trace and I were left without parents, without a home. Just left there to find our way in their system. I've spent every day since building a new life for me and Trace, and it's about us, not depending on Jedi, or these criminals, or anyone else.
Wait, she says she doesn't rely on criminals, but they have debt to gangsters. Wow, what a load of crap. Jailbait keels over and apologizes when Karen says everything was fine until she showed up. Well, the Pikes come to take Karen away in spite of Jailbait's heroic efforts. While Karen is getting interrogated, the best character continues to put blame on Jailbait, which is totally helping out her likability as if she didn't do anything stupid. So Jailbait asks why she helped her out in the first place. According to her, it's because her mother always told her that it's good to help out others. Even though it does help that she does answers why she helped her in the first place, it still doesn't explain the free service she gave her and her liking Jailbait. I know this is not the best business practice in the world, but if the best character truly believes in helping out others no matter what, then maybe just let Jailbait pay it off at a later date plus interest. Additionally, didn't the best character during the last episode say that it was all their fault when they got caught? Wow, it's as if this character is really terribly written or something. Suddenly, Karen gets thrown back into their cell unconscious and the best character tries to fight back, but is unsuccessful and is taken away. Before they interrogate her, she's able to fight her way through the first Pike guards by fainting as if she's pierced from Community. That's a little bit too clever for someone as dumb as her. After she's able to get a gun and shoot the first Pike guard, the guard that's holding her up isn't even fighting back and against her, and she gets ungrappled by doing a simple elbow. That's an armored torso she's hitting. How does that guy feel that much pain from that hit? From this unrealistic action, she flings him into an electric droid, picks up the gun, shoots him, and they both fall over. My issue with this is that in the first episode of the arc, she gets taken down by local henchmen without guns and needs Jailbait's assistance. The Pikes were hyped up to be powerful gangsters in the galaxy, yet they are worse in combat than these small-town Monster Inc. mobsters. Jailbait even said that these guys are more dangerous than the Monster Inc. crew. From aesthetics, they definitely seem to be more powerful, but they can't win against the best character in this altercation? The dudes with blasters should be tougher than the dudes without blasters. Please don't tell me that the best character got better at fighting because Jailbait taught her off screen. It was never said in any of these episodes, and there's really not enough information to imply it. Plus, the second guard should be able to hold her down. To top it off, the guards behind the chairs then start shooting after the second guard is taken down. Why are people so hesitant to take shots in this universe when they could easily detain this situation against a 16-year-old? I get it why they didn't shoot at her when she was still being held by the first guard, but they at least could have shot at her when she was fighting the second one. To top it off even further, she's a better shot than the guards and kills one of them. This powerful crime syndicate apparently struggles to subdue a teenager with no known experience ever being in a gunfight. Now, I can't even stand the battles between the clones and the droids because it's just so one-sided. However, in those battles, at least the more well-trained soldiers win most of the time. Well, practically all the time, but if you want to see more detail into that argument, you gotta check out my other videos. Once Jailbait notices the guards had focused their attention on the best character running around, she uses the Force to open up her cell. She explains to the just awakened Karen that it was a power outage and they leave to go get the best character. It cuts back to the best character, who again takes out another Pike guard who stops shooting once she stands still. This guard literally lost to someone who, at the moment she started to get shot at, she stands still to turn around. The corner was coming up and a logical decision would be to wait until you get behind the corner to take cover, then shoot. But that doesn't matter when you're facing bad guys having terrible aim. Trust me, I am fully aware that this has been a factor since the very first Star Wars movies, but that's also a flaw in those movies that degrades them as well. But the writings in those scenes are still a lot better than this. Anyway, she keeps running and screaming down the hallway until she bumps into one of the guards. She gets disarmed and the guard grapples her, however she's able to kick the button that opens the cell of these goons who take out the guard. Fortunately, the best character didn't think of this on her own, instead the goons told her to do so. Then more Pike guards with guns get held up to the goons with only their bare hands to fight with. I think it's safe to say that it is a good time to get a little trigger happy to get the job done. Eventually, the sisters collide with each other, decide to get into an argument, and get power hungry on where they should run next, as more guards come running after them. Jailbait makes a decision for them because they have no time to bicker. Well, the guards definitely have time to shoot at them, but I guess they just won't. They don't start shooting at them again until they get to the staircase, but of course our heroines make it to the doorway, which closes once they enter. Wait, how did that door close? It was just open earlier and shuts right before the assailing guards could get there in time?
There are no words to express what we have just witnessed. Intelligent poltergeist activity.
That's just convenient with no explanation. Please don't tell me that Jailbait used the Force because the show doesn't even imply it. These guards won't hit them at all, but will hit a button on the door which seemingly stalls for how long they can actually reach the girls. As it continues, they throw some barrels down to block the door, I guess? It doesn't really make sense since a strong majority of doors open side to side in this universe, including this one, but okay. The only way I can really see that being effective if you cover up the entire doorway, which they didn't. As the girls are taking cover, the wave of guards come in who eventually die to the best character using her gamer knowledge to shoot the barrels to take them out. Please don't tell me that these girls were going to use these barrels as explosives in the first place. You can tell the best character's eyes widen, which means she noticed it at the moment, not before. Not only that, out of the three girls, the best character is by far the least likely to be quick-witted in this situation. This arc literally established her to be a dumb character. Back to the episode, Jailbait and the best character use some crates as barriers. I find it funny that these barriers are meant to slow down the guards, but they have guns and the girls are essentially giving them cover. They could easily jump over to the left side. However, it's going to be effective for BS reasons. As they're running across the path, a part of it starts to shrink and two more guards show up. These guards shoot at them several times but then stop shooting for reasons? Karen makes it successfully across, but the best character jumps, lands in a lava pit below and dies. Alright, fine. She jumps and Jailbait uses the Force to propel her to make it. I find it funny how she uses the Force right in front of Karen and still doesn't see the physics-defining moment by her sister. There's a random explosion in the background? Did the Pike guards just kill themselves or something? Next, the sisters are arguing on whether or not they should leave, but that doesn't matter because she jumps over and explains that she is athletic. Then, the guards start shooting again. I guess they just climb over fences like I do. Even when the girls are running in a straight line, they can't seem to hit them. The girls go down to the elevator room and kill a guard rather gruesomely. Wait, when we see that dude's mangled body based off of this camera angle? I'm not saying that the show needs to show the dude's mangled corpse, but they gotta change the camera angle here. Anyway, Karen says something pretty stupid.
All of this effort to kill us is crazy. You'd think these pikes have never pulled a fast one or had a fast one pulled on them.
How is she shocked by the fact that the Pikes want to stop their own prisoners from escaping? Did she think prison was just a timeout? Plus, her comment of pulling a fast one is just illogical. She makes it sound as if what they did was the equivalent to a whoopee cushion prank to someone who had a poor sense of humor, and their vengeful spirit shows that they took it way too seriously. At this moment, for some reason, it never crossed her mind that if she messed up when working with crime wars, that there was going to be consequences. Moving forward, Karen orders Jailbait to disable the gate while the sisters will distract the guards. I know it doesn't matter because of her abilities. The guards don't even attack at the same time and instead do it one by one. While the sisters battle through some more pathetic guards and Karen gets a gun, Jailbait is still fighting the guards when she could have just used the force already. I know she's using a little bit, but she probably could have used it more if it's not being witnessed by the sisters. That would be easier to getting the job done. Instead, we need 20 nonsensical fight scenes of her facing guards that mostly attack one at a time. As the show continued, she gets the gate open, runs over to help the sisters by using the force to get the guards out of cover to be shot at, and they move on. They're just walking on the streets casually as if no one is chasing them. Literally, they let the best character go running off. I think if anyone was in this situation, they would be in the shadows until they had disguises. As it goes on, Jailbait talks to Karen about how the best character shouldn't be involved on these missions. Really, you don't say. However, a drunk interrupts them and he wants credits, but Karen shoos him off. Karen asks Jailbait the question, why is she helping them? She responds with she believes helping people is important, and Karen says she knew someone who believed in that. I get it that that's technically something, but she could have done that with the Jedi Order. Well, since they do that all the time, it almost seems as if leaving made absolutely no sense. It cuts back to the drunk asking the guards for money. Notice that they're looking for our heroines and will get paid for his informing on their position. Back to the girls. They see the ship up top. Karen says they need to take the first ship they can get, while the best character is so adamant to get her ship back. Even though they are fugitives on the run, they're gonna yell this argument out loud in a public area? Then the drunk with the guards spot them and they run after them. Surprisingly, the guards are shooting at them consistently while running through a crowd of people? You can't see the blaster shots going by, but you can hear them. So, are they killing civilians? I just find this hilarious that these guards won't shoot at convicts running in a prison when they have a clear shot, but will shoot at them when they're running through a crowd of innocent people. They seem to have backward tendencies. As they're running, they ran past someone with Mandalorian garb. Our heroines get into a busy road with lots of traffic and jump on a car, but the engine gets shot, which gets the sisters caught. It's strange that these guards just stopped to capture them when they were shooting at them. Please don't tell me that they were trying to stun them when these were clearly not stun guns. You can tell by the blasters being shot out. Oh wow, this random being makes the sound of a tauntaun. Remember when Star Wars was known for its sound design? Now it just copies and pastes. Even when it doesn't make any sense. When they have this much money, they should put in a lot more effort with the little things here and there. Anyway, Jailbait starts to run as two guards chase around the corner, but once the guards get around, they stop shooting. I guess she ain't a civilian enough to be shot at. From a distance, more Mandalorians are overlooking the situation and say Jailbait could be an enemy or an adversary for their mission. Back to the sisters, the Pikes are disappointed in them and want them dead.
You cost me thousands of credits, and then you tried to cheat me. Did you honestly think you'd get away with fooling a Pike?
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have tried if we didn't think.
Silence! Kill them, and let's move on.
I thought you wanted to know where the spice was.
Your little friend is still in the city. When we find her, I'll torture her and find out
Remember what Invader Zim said for later. Back to Jailbait. She awkwardly chokes out a guy and gets into a vehicle to save the sisters. Even though she successfully saves both of them, once the gate opens, they get shot down. This Invader Zim says that his plan worked. So kill them.
Do it.
Nope, they imprison them again. Karen tries to negotiate out of their sentence, but Invader Zim says this.
You didn't get it right the first time, Martez. Why would I waste any more time with you?
What? You planning on torturing us again?
Until you give me my spice.
He made it clear that he was gonna kill the sisters and use Jailbait for intel, but now he's gonna keep the sisters alive as well. I'm surprised that a powerful crime syndicate wouldn't use death more as an intimidation factor. He technically only needs one of them. But even keeping Jailbait alive doesn't even seem accurate because they were shooting blaster shots at her as well. That was a cheap and sloppy way to keep tension when they just decided to keep them alive without explanation for changing their minds. Before the episode concludes, they have a conversation.
Sorry. I never should have taken this job.
We live and learn, Rafa.
Yeah, but for how much longer?
Wow, Karen apologizes for her mistake, but the best character doesn't for her? It's okay for the best character to question how long they're gonna live for, but she hasn't apologized for anything. I can see why no one respects this character. Anyway, we're going on to the next one.
Maybe we could pretend to be sick or dead.
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't work. Well, it starts out how the last episode started. Not only is the location the same, the characters have the same viewpoints as the beginning of the last episode. Karen is blaming her problems on Jailbait, even though last episode she made it clear that she definitely deserves some blame for them being in this situation.
Not here. Oh, I know the answer to that. We're here because you convinced Trace to dump the spice, and she did.
Did the writers forget or something? This ain't the first time. To make matters worse, this occurs.
I never told her to do that. Wait, so you're blaming me for this?
The best character is so surprised that she is getting blamed when her decision was by far the dumbest contributor to why they're in this situation. Were these characters written inconsistently so they can have more episodes for this arc? I can't necessarily prove it, but it's kinda confusing why they're written this poorly. It would be fine if she defends herself in some way, but she is way too surprised to be criticized. Please don't tell me it's because Karen values her sister more than anything else so she wouldn't judge her. She definitely has been critical to her before this point. Karen continues to justify her point about her original plan, while Jailbait and the best character both disagree that the plan wasn't very good. After the sisters argue about their camaraderie towards each other, Jailbait thinks about another plan and then they are taken back to Invader Zim. The same guy that was hunting them down in the last episode wants Karen to make a choice, watch her friends die or pay off their debt. Even though death is involved in this process, these gangsters don't seem that intimidating, especially when they've been stalling their deaths. They definitely should be way more cutthroat with their actions when Jailbait hyped them up 2 episodes ago. Going forward with the story, Jailbait intervenes, acts as if she isn't associated with the sisters, said the sisters hid the weed off-world in a covert area, but makes a deal that they'll go get the weed in the next 24 hours while she'll get paid enough to cover their expenses. If they are unsuccessful, she'll give them the location of their family. Invader Zim agrees to it and adds that if they fail, they will be tortured for intel while them and their family will die. These girls have no leverage to make a deal, so I don't know why Invader Zim would even take this. Once the meeting is adjourned, his assistant says they're being deceived. Well, no shit. And Invader Zim concurs, but rebuttals that he doesn't have much of a choice. So why doesn't he just keep torturing one of them for intel? They only tried that against Karen, so couldn't they try that against the best character in Jailbait? Maybe this time they can actually have handcuffs around them, so it's much harder for them to fight back? Plus, They could keep one of them for intel and bring this up with the Major Dumbo about the bad delivery? Even though it's not true that the Major Dumbo wasn't behind the delivery being botched, wouldn't they possibly think that they were being scammed by Kessel? There are too many possibilities and outcomes not being weighed here to let Jailbait get away with negotiating out of this temporarily. Please don't tell me that she used a Jedi mind trick right here, because if she did, it would look something like this.
You want to pay us our credits and send us on our way.
Back to the episode. Invader Zim is working beneath someone who will know if he doesn't have the weed. In the next scene, the sisters literally fly off by themselves without any guards watching over them. I don't understand why they don't have guards overseeing them to make sure that they're doing their end of the bargain. They could just have some guards come along with them to try to find it. These Pikes who have a criminal empire should be more cautious of people being dishonest. As the ship leaves, the Mandalorian women saw that Jailbait didn't leave and want to know what she is up to. After Jailbait gets out of her cell, it cuts to the sisters at a rest stop and the best character doesn't pick up on Jailbait's plan, so Karen has to explain it to her. There's definitely an argument that she's the dumbest character in Star Wars. Anyway, Karen respects the rare action that Jailbait did for them and will go back to save Jailbait by getting the weed. When Jailbait witnesses the factory workers and gets some grenades, the sisters are going to Abadia, and Karen says their plan is to steal the weed from the Pikes, then give it to them for Jailbait. How do they know where the Pikes store their weed? It was established 2 episodes ago that they know nothing about the Pikes. Plus, it was never shown that they learned about this information at all during this entire arc. Once they land, Karen starts to negotiate.
Hey, so, you got some spice for me?
I told you I do not have your shipment listed anywhere.
You've never done a special request pickup?
Ha! Very rarely.
Then today is one of those very rarely situations. Look, pal, I don't want to get you in trouble, but this is coming from up top, if you know what I mean. So why don't you just start loading the spice onto my ship?
Literally, this guy already knows there ain't a shipment, and I imagine if they needed to phone Invader Zim, they probably could in this situation. This man could ask, which higher up are you talking about? I imagine a special delivery would be communicated already, knowing how the Star Wars technology works. But these beta males just bend over and it does it for them without getting clarification from another party. Back to Jailbait, while she is planting bombs, she sees Invader Zim talking to the Edgelord himself, Darth Maul, over a hologram above. I'm going to refer Maul as the worst character. Some of you might think that since I refer to Trace as the best character, even though I'm aware of how bad she is, that I must think Maul is a great character. But no, I legitimately think he is not a good character. One of the reasons is that he's supposed to be dead, but they decide to keep him alive even though it's a retcon. I will get more into my reasoning when I cover the next arc. Getting back on track, the worst character is the boss of Invader Zim and really wants to know if Jedi are sent on this mission to stop his illegal weed trade, which Invader Zim does not have an answer to. I know the worst character cares a lot about Obi-Wan, one of the dumbest characters in the show by the way, but he runs a criminal empire when the Jedi are mostly on missions against the CIS. I'm pretty sure they got bigger priorities than stopping weed. I think the worst character wants their attention. He did start killing innocent civilians to force the Jedi to intervene. As the scene goes on, the worst character senses Jailbait through a hologram and walks over to look beyond the edge. Holograms are only able to project the person they're speaking to, and if someone was right next to them. The worst character should not be able to see the room. I don't mind him sensing Jailbait's presence, it just doesn't make any sense that he's able to physically walk over and be able to look around. As it continues, the worst character tells Invader Zim that he has to make sure that the weed comes in or he'll get replaced. When the call ends, the Pikes conclude that they don't have much of an option while looking over the banister. Then, a guard comes in to communicate that Jailbait has escaped and they immediately leave through the doorway. My issue with this is that the worst character for a substantial amount of time looked over the banister while the Pikes did it after the call ended. Once Invader Zim heard the news, why didn't he order people to check that area? They were clearly suspicious, so it doesn't make sense why they would move on. As Jailbait walks in to plant bombs and uses the transmission which locates the worst character at Mandalore, Invader Zim and his Pikes ambush her. I don't know why she is surprised that the worst character is on Mandalore. It's well known that the worst character took over that planet. They get into a small tussle and Invader Zim concludes from her forced push that she is a Jedi, which she doesn't deny. Does this sound like someone who let the Jedi Order on her own terms? They could have wrote her having a quick line saying, "Not exactly." You really can't tell if she's a Grey Jedi or just a regular Jedi. Then, they stun her. If these Pikes are going to be as serious as Jailbait hyped them up to be when it comes to killing people, they might as well kill people. Please don't tell me that the reason why they stunned her there is because they need Jailbait alive for the next arc. Of course she needs to live. I'm fine with her surviving. But what is the point of the Pikes threatening to kill people when they obviously won't do it, even when they have an opportunity to do so? Sure, the writers are probably trying to make the dialogue more intense, but it's at the cost of the writing. Back at the loading dock, the beta male who goes to beta simp because even though he is adamant that there is no shipment coming in, he still has the weed being loaded on due to Karen being persistent and bossy. Bro, don't even try. She likes this bitch instead. A workforce should not be pressured into this simply because someone is being bossy. Karen has no known authority over them, so they shouldn't be complying this easily. They could have fixed this with the sisters having weapons threatening them. Additionally, where are the Pike guards? Wouldn't they want a resource as valuable as this be well protected? As it goes on, you see why Karen gets her name Karen.
And my manager said this is highly irregular. Yes. Where is he? I don't see any manager. You just don't want to do the work. That's it, isn't it?
Rafa?
Not now. So where is this manager? Huh?
Rafa, stop!
There isn't one, is there? You little liar. He's right behind you. All right.
I know it's small, but the beta simp really didn't have to say his line. Him pointing would just be enough for Karen to register it. As it goes on, this manager says that she doesn't have the authorization to be here and sees through their BS. Karen grabs a pipe when she orders the best character to get the manifestation and hits him over the head, but it has no effect. So it becomes a fist fight. So this criminal empire doesn't have armed guards at their loading dock. They should have this area way more protective if weed is so valuable. When the worst character was talking to Invader Zim, they were concerned about the Republic pulling over their shipments. Sounds as if that their foe is powerful. I think they should be armed to the teeth just in case. During the ultimate retail showdown, for some reason when the manager is beating her pretty badly, he orders one of his beta males to raise the lift that he threw her on? Plus, he also jumps on with her. Why would you do that? It's not as if he needs a major advantage over her, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. I could understand Karen ordering this to the best character, but not the Goliath in this situation. Once the best character wins her scuffle over the pipe and bonks the beta male near the control panel, she damages the control panel which makes it wobbly and sends it far off the loading dock. I find it pretty funny that the Pikes have worse teamsters than the small-scale gangsters on Coruscant. The Monster Inc. crew at least had 2 henchmen that could fight. Not just 1. Anyway, the platform is moving off the ledge and the manager is destroying Karen. However, he is fooled when he picks her up, which gets her above the platform and she kicks it to successfully detach it. Imagine if he just didn't fix what was not broken. He was using the same fighting style that he was using before, so he made a pointless decision that ended up being his demise. For a guy that was this much physically superior, He could have just kicked her off or just pushed her off. He didn't have to pick her up and try to throw her. I see why even Clone Wars fans dislike this arc. How can you let the Karen win? Moving forward, I guess the droid that was helping them load the ship from earlier disappeared? Then the best character scares off the beta simps with a strong woman demeanor, and this happens. Alright, fine, they just leave. Back to Jailbait, she is captive, waiting for her execution, and a bracelet on her wrist is beeping. Don't these guys ever do a pat down? These guards could literally see that, but I guess they don't? It just seems very suspicious. Suddenly, the best character and Karen come in to free her, but of course, Invader Zim will just execute them for he thinks they work for the Republic and reveals Jailbait is a Jedi. I find it funny that Invader Zim doesn't know that his spice was taken from him. I guess the beta simp just didn't tell him? What a true simp, simping when he's not even on the screen. After Invader Zim announces that their execution will start soon, him and his pikes give the sisters plenty of time to argue with Jailbait and stall out the execution. Why are the guards not shooting? Well, for the writers to show the audience how miffed the sisters are at Jailbait's secret, of course. Another aspect at the expense of the writing in this. And with no surprise, the bombs go off, which the Mandalorians notice, shaking the room, which gives the girls ample amount of time to leave the room. These guards had more than enough time to shoot at them when they were bickering. These guards have absolutely no reason to wait. It's not as if these guards were debating in their head whether they should ransom them off or not. They made it clear that they weren't going to ransom them while multiple occasions stating that they were going to kill them. As it goes on, the girls leave to the ship pretty quickly without any action in between that we know of. Plus, I highly doubt that the throne room of Invader Zim is that close to the landing platform. Once they fly off, then pike guards come out and start shooting at their starship. Were those the only guards going after them? Pretty small for a criminal empire. As the girls are flying off, pike ships start to chase them. Jailbait is able to gun down 2 of them, but her turret is destroyed while their shields have been disabled. Then, it's all up to the best character to use a trick against the remaining pike. I find it funny that the best character beat this pike so easily when she had little to no flying experience. How bad of a pilot is that pike? This extremely dumb character is able to outsmart her opponents? You can't even say that was instinctual by her because her instincts aren't that good. Even though I thought it was ridiculous that Child Anakin was the hero of the space battle in The Phantom Menace, they at least established that he was good with speeders and he had the Force. The best character is portrayed as someone who is an enthusiast about flying and is able to engineer it. She wasn't really established to be a great pilot, at least when shown. As the episode proceeds, the Mandalorians start tracking down their ship. At Coruscant, they continue to have a talk about Jailbait's Jedi Pass and are surprised that she left. Same. Due to the fact that it's prestigious and she behaves like one. You can tell from Jailbait's eyes that she never wanted to leave. Yet she did. Anyway, the sisters thank her and the Mandalorians come in. Wait, if they were following them in space, couldn't they see when someone was following them through their rearview mirror? They went from planet to planet. They had ample amount of time to notice. Only their turret and deflector shields were destroyed. Why didn't they look behind during the trip? It continues with the Mandalorians wanting Jailbait to join them because they are both enemies of the worst character and they need her help. Jailbait has her doubts because of this.
Sounds like she needs your help, just like we did. But if I go down this path, I'm afraid where it might lead. You mean, back to the Jedi? Yes.
It would have been so much better if Jailbait had this resentment towards the Jedi for this entire arc, but it looks out of character for her to now be against the Jedi with all the time she defended them prior to this scene with not much substantiation for changing her mind. Additionally, Jailbait leaving the Order was her choice and it could have used that to pander to the sisters. Since Jailbait thought she was mistreated and how the sisters, mostly Karen, felt mistreated in a different way, she could have used that to gain Karen's trust because they have a common belief. She could have lied about her resentment towards the Order and they probably could have gone through these missions with much more ease. Back to the episode. Finally, the sisters tell her she is meant for this, which is enough for her to join the Mandalorians. Which concludes the arc. The only characters I can really say that grew for that is probably Karen, while they made Jailbait basically a Mary Sue. And the best character never directly apologized for her mistake. If people want to say this is the worst arc of Clone Wars, I see what they're saying, but let's not forget the terrible filler episodes that are also preceded by this. So this one's more recent, so I at least understand that it's more fresh in people's heads. You can also say that the subtle wokeness played a factor. I know I already explained that Karen's sexuality isn't important in this arc. On top of that though, they mostly made it females versus males. Objectively speaking though, that is not a flaw with this arc. It's not bad because it's woke, it's just another woke medium that happens to be bad. Which is very common for this new era of Star Wars. I guess Disney was trying to do something that relates to the modern time, police brutality, Karen, simps, and people faking sick. But looking onwards, I'm going to talk about some of the videos that are going to be coming up. There will be a video on the final arc of Season 7. The script for that video has already been made. I'm going to make a Harry Potter review of the books and movies in one video. It's going to come out before the finale arc review, simply because it's going to have a much quicker format for me to edit. I will also review the Season 5 finale after I'm done with those two videos. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.